A glimpse of Zi Xian's prowess. As if struck by a sudden nightmare, the second elder recoiled in horror. With a sharp gasp, he leapt backward instinctively.
What the hell are you?
The second elder exclaimed, his voice riddled with fear.
How are you still alive?
Before Yuan could even respond, the second elder spoke again.
It can't be. That regenerative ability. You're a demon. Ha ha ha.
Yuan laughed at the second elder's assumptions.
Are those your last words?
The second elder clenched his fists and roared.
So what if you're a demon? You're still a mere divine emperor. I can crush you with a finger.
The second elder raised a trembling finger at Yuan, gathering celestial qi with murderous intent blazing in his eyes. But the moment the celestial qi began to surge through him, a searing pain erupted from deep within his body, far more intense than before. His expression twisted in agony as the burning sensation multiplied, coursing through his veins like wildfire, threatening to tear him apart from the inside.
This is poison. You poison me?
The second elder immediately retrieved a handful of pills and swallowed them simultaneously after realizing Yuan had poisoned him.
Those pills won't save you.
Yuan said coldly.
Heaven's Bane is one of the most lethal poisons in the universe. Unless you have specifically prepared for it, you won't get rid of it.
Moreover, Yuan had struck the second elder with Baneful Abyss, his sole weapon that not only amplified the potency of Heaven's Bane, but also accelerated its effects to a terrifying degree. Despite having a much higher cultivation than the first elder, it took less time for the second elder to succumb to the poison. The second elder fell to his knees a moment later. However, despite his seemingly hopeless situation, he smiled and said,
So you managed to kill my physical body, but as long as my soul is intact, I am not dead. I know.
Yuan said.
I also know that I don't have the power to destroy your soul. However, I know someone who can. Ha ha ha.
The second elder laughed. Even as pain twisted his features.
If you're talking about the clan leader, not even he could destroy my soul. Don't underestimate a God Ascension Realm cultivator.
Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, his tone calm and dismissive.
God Ascension?
He sneered.
I've killed more of them than I can count.
Yuan immediately put away Baneful Abyss and retrieved number 1 under heaven.
Zi Xian, I'll leave him to you. What happened to using my energy on something worth it? He's hardly worth my energy.
Zi Xian said.
I know, but unfortunately, we cannot let him live.
Suddenly, number 1 under heaven began to tremble, its entire form radiating an intense golden light. The brilliance grew blinding, until the light itself began to shift, condensing, reshaping. Moments later, standing where the weapon once hovered was the beautiful figure of an adult woman. Her presence was regal and imposing, her voluptuous form wrapped in flowing black and golden robes that shimmered like starlight.
His sword transformed into a human.
Zhao Zhenhai watched the scene before him with a dumbfounded expression. Zi Xian examined her body for a moment before turning to look at Yuan with a dissatisfied face and said,
I am able to take this form since you've improved your cultivation to Divine Emperor, but it's not good enough. I can barely last a few minutes right now, and that won't be anywhere near enough to satisfy me. I will need to be able to remain in this form for at least a month to have a proper session with you. A whole month? Please spare me.
Yuan said with a stiff smile.
I refuse. This is non-negotiable, especially since you left me in that depressing place for so long.
The second elder stood frozen, his eyes locked on Zi Xian as she casually chatted with Yuan, but not out of infatuation. It wasn't her devastating beauty that left him dazed, but the overwhelming, unfathomable aura radiating from her presence.
Anyway, let me take care of this trash first.
Zi Xian slowly turned her gaze toward the second elder. The moment her eyes met his, his body began to tremble uncontrollably. The sheer weight of her presence, conveyed through nothing more than a casual glance, was enough to crush his will. In that single moment, all hope drained from the second elder's eyes. He knew he wasn't facing a cultivator, but something far beyond his comprehension.
How dare a lowly rat lay its filthy paws on my beloved?
Zixian's voice rang out. She took a single step toward the second elder, graceful yet absolute. The moment her foot touched the ground, a ripple of overwhelming force erupted outward, infused with supreme sword chi. The entire dimension quaked in silent awe, as if bowing to the sheer majesty of Zixian's presence. All around them, the display cases that had remained undamaged even through the cataclysmic battle between Jiao Zhenhai and the second elder began to crack. As Zixian took her second step, every display case within the treasury dissolved into countless fragments impossible to see with the naked eye. The second elder's body met the same fate. One moment he was there, and he was gone the next. No blood, no remains. Not even a speck of dust lingered. He had been erased, utterly and completely. Yet, the second elder was still alive, as his soul still existed. However, that wouldn't last long, lasting only until Zixian took her third step. Realizing that he was a goner, the second elder spoke to Jiao Zhenhai through voice transmission before he was erased from existence. Even if you kill me, the Mystic Sea Dragon Clan is already on their way here. It'll only be a matter of time before the Azure Dragon Clan falls to them. After the second elder was reduced to nothingness, Zixian turned on her heel and began walking toward Yuan. Her steps, though silent, carried a presence that made the very air part before her. When she stood before him, her body glowing, she leaned in and gave him a passionate kiss with her soft lips.
I'm going to take a nap. Work hard to improve your cultivation so we can have more fun later,
she said to him before returning to her sword form and going silent. 1967 consuming the tier of the Azure Heavens. After putting away number 1 under heaven, Yuan turned to look at Jiao Zhenhai, who was sitting on the floor with a dazed look on his face, and said,
I apologize for the destruction of this place.
Jiao Zhenhai looked around with a dumbfounded look on his face before responding.
It's fine. As long as the treasures themselves aren't damaged. Thank you. Now then, about what you were trying to tell me about our offer.
Jiao Zhenhai slowly stood up before speaking in a solemn tone.
I am willing to give you the tier of the Azure Heavens for the immortal monarch's blood, but I want one more thing from you. What is it? Help me defend my Azure Dragon Clan,
said Jiao Zhenhai with a serious frown on his face.
Defend the Azure Dragon Clan? What about you talking about?
Yuan raised an eyebrow, unaware of what the second elder said to Jiao Zhenhai through voice transmission. Jiao Zhenhai immediately explained the situation.
The Mystic Sea Dragon Clan, whom the elders have been working with, are coming here as we speak. The second elder said this to me right before his death through voice transmission. Without the 3 elders, our chances of defeating the Mystic Sea Dragon Clan are slim to none. However, with you, and your sword's assistance, we might be able to win.
Yuan didn't immediately respond. Zixian had expended most of her energy just now and would probably take several weeks, if not months, to fully recover. If the Mystic Sea Dragon Clan showed up before she recovered, it might get a bit dangerous. Of course, he still had Dragon Goddess Yayo, but he wasn't sure how much she could actually do in her current state. After contemplating for some time, Yuan nodded and said,
All right, I'll help the Azure Dragon Clan. However, I will need the tier of the Azure Heavens now. My sword is exhausted after killing the second elder and needs to recover.
Jiao Zhenhai nodded.
Okay.
Some time later, Jiao Zhenhai handed the tier of the Azure Heavens to Yuan.
I'm going to use this right now. You should alert the rest of your family. I know this isn't the proper time to ask this, but what does it do?
Jiao Zhenhai couldn't contain his curiosity. However, Yuan shrugged and responded in a genuine voice.
I don't know. What? Then why do you want it? My instincts.
he said. Zhao Zhenhai fell silent. After a moment he asked,
Are you going to do it here? Preferably. Since nobody can disturb me here. Don't worry, I won't steal your treasures, if that's what you're worried about. I trust you.
Without saying anything else, Zhao Zhenhai left the treasury and summoned everyone from the Azure Dragon clan. Meanwhile, Yuan sat on the floor with the tier of the Azure Heavens in his grasp. Your cold resistance has improved significantly. Progress, 7%. Yuan's cold resistance has been increasing since he touched the tier of the Azure Heavens, which was a pleasant surprise.
Do any of you guys know what this is?
Yuan asked the others.
No.
Lan Yingying quickly responded.
I have also never seen or heard of this treasure before.
Said Yuning.
That is the heart of the heaven-chilling ice phoenix.
Said Feng Yuxiang.
This is the heart of a phoenix?
Yuan repeated, raising an eyebrow in surprise.
Yes.
Feng Yuxiang confirmed.
The heaven-chilling ice phoenix is a rare and powerful species whose flames don't burn, but freeze everything they touch. Their hearts contain immense Yin energy and are considered priceless among Yin attribute cultivators. Honestly, I'm surprised one managed to be preserved for this long.
Feng Yuxiang remarked.
The heaven-chilling ice phoenix has been extinct for ages, after all. So, what kind of effect does it have?
Yuan asked.
It's quite extraordinary.
Feng Yuxiang explained.
For cultivators, it grants the ability to cultivate and wield Yin-attributed energy, even if they had no prior affinity for it. As for beasts, consuming it can transform their bloodline into one aligned with Yin. And if they already possess a Yin-attributed bloodline, it will elevate their lineage to an entirely new level. No wonder the Mystic Sea Dragon clan is trying to destroy the Azure Dragon clan just so they can get their hands on this treasure.
Yuan mumbled.
Anyway, I am going to consume this now.
Without a moment of hesitation, Yuan brought the heart of the heaven-chilling ice phoenix to his lips and took a bite. Though it had the hardness of crystals, his teeth sank into it effortlessly, as if biting into a piece of delicate cake. The moment it touched his tongue, the crystallized heart melted away like cotton candy, releasing an intense wave of chilling energy that spread through his body. Harmonious Heaven, refining immortal physique, has activated. Heaven-chilling ice phoenix's heart has been refined by Harmonious Heaven, refining immortal physique. Suddenly, Yuan's entire body erupted in a blaze of azure-colored flames, radiating an intense cold so profound it felt as though he were being burned and frozen simultaneously. The surrounding air trembled, and in the blink of an eye, the entire treasury was coated in a thick layer of glistening ice. Shelves, walls, even the very ground beneath him crystallized under the overwhelming Yin energy now pouring from his body. Yuan himself also turned into an ice statue. As for his cold resistance, it improved at a frightening rate. Progress, 23%. Progress, 66%. Progress, 81%. In just a few days, his progress skyrocketed to 99%. Meanwhile, the Azure Dragon clan began mobilizing for war against the Mystic Sea Dragon clan. With a population exceeding 100,000, including those residing in the city, their forces were vast. While not every member was suited for combat, the overwhelming majority had already reached at least the divine realm. The city, once bustling like any ordinary settlement, transformed into a fortress overnight. Barricades rose where markets once stood, defensive formations were activated across the seafloor, and patrols of armored warriors now roamed the area around the Azure Dragon clan's territory. 1968 completed Harmonious Heaven, refining immortal physique.
Where's Senior Envoy?
Zhao Xianbing asked Zhao Zhenhai a month after they began preparing for war.
He's in seclusion. Are you sure he'll even be of any help? He's only at the peak of Divine Emperor.
Zhao Binglan said, expressing her doubts.
And for the record, I still don't believe he managed to defeat the first elder.
Jiao Zhenhai looked at his foolish daughter and said,
I didn't mention this, but it was he who killed the second elder. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be standing here right now. What? He killed the second elder, who is the strongest amongst the three elders.
The others from the Azure Dragon clan expressed shock and bewilderment after learning of this.
Binglan, you need to start respecting him, or you'll come to regret it later.
Jiao Xianbing said to her,
Your hate is unreasonable in the first place. He didn't do anything to offend you, and he's helped our clan tremendously. If it weren't for him, the three elders would have continued to stab us in the back. That's...
Jiao Binglan fell silent. Suddenly, someone rushed into the room and shouted,
We've spotted the Mystic Sea Dragon clan. They'll arrive in our territory in 2 weeks. How many people do they have?
Jiao Zhenhai questioned.
Around 50,000. They only brought a fourth of their forces? These bastards are underestimating us a little too much.
Jiao Zhenhai gritted his teeth in frustration. Yet, he didn't dare to underestimate their opponents. The Mystic Sea Dragon clan was a royal bloodline, just like them. After all, at the same time, Yuan had just finished absorbing the tier of the Azure Heavens. Progress, 100%. Your harmonious heaven refining immortal physique has successfully merged with cold immunity. Harmonious heaven refining immortal physique, incomplete, has evolved to harmonious heaven refining immortal physique, completed. Boom! The moment Yuan completed his harmonious heaven refining immortal physique, the bottleneck that kept him at the peak of divine emperor shattered, and his cultivation began soaring to the next level. You have reached first level divine sovereign. You have reached 5th level divine sovereign. You have reached 9th level divine sovereign. You have reached 1st level divine ancestor. In the blink of an eye, Yuan's cultivation surged to the peak of the divine ancestor realm, just a single step away from immortal ascension. However, entering the immortal ascension realm wasn't as simple as accumulating enough spiritual energy. A cultivator needed exceptional soul strength and, more importantly, profound insight into the nature of cultivation itself. This was the barrier that trapped countless experts at the divine ancestor level. Of course, Yuan was no ordinary cultivator. His soul strength already rivaled, if not surpassed, that of immortals, and with the vast experience and insight he'd accumulated from his past lives, he only needed to attempt entering it. No, he could enter immortal ascension even in his sleep. After taking a deep breath, Yuan began his attempt to break through to immortal ascension, the first step on his path toward true immortality. Moments later, a surge of immortal qi erupted from Yuan's body, flooding the air with boundless pressure. You have successfully taken your first step towards true immortality, entering first level immortal ascension. To ascend to the next level, one must continually refine their soul strength and deepen their insights into the Tao. However, for someone like Yuan, it was merely a question of whether he chose to ascend. Mere seconds after stepping into the first level of immortal ascension, another surge of immortal qi burst forth from Yuan's body as his cultivation soared into the second level. You have successfully entered second level immortal ascension. From that moment on, Yuan advanced through each level as if it were mere child's play. In the blink of an eye, he reached the 9th level of immortal ascension, just one step away from becoming an immortal. Yet that final step was unimaginably vast, a chasm where countless cultivators had faltered and fallen. Of course, if Yuan wanted to take that step, he could easily do so. However, when he attempted to do so, he was met by a familiar barrier. So, my physique still has room to grow, huh? Yuan mused. Come to think of it, my fire and cold immunities are only at the first stage, while my poison and lightning immunities have already reached their peak.
Congratulations on reaching the peak of immortal ascension, young master.
Feng Yuxiang cheered loudly.
You're now only a step away from becoming a bronze immortal,
said Lan Yingying.
I have never seen or heard anyone going from the first level to the peak in one sitting.
Yuning muttered in a dazed voice.
It's not just my cultivation that benefited from the tier of the azure heavens. I also acquired new abilities.
Yuan flipped his palms and summoned a blue flame.
That's the heaven-chilling ice phoenix's unique flames, the heaven-freezing flame.
Feng Yuxiang exclaimed.
Anyway, how long have I been cultivating?
He then asked.
A little over a month. Since nobody disturbed me, I guess the Mystic Sea Dragon clan has yet to arrive. Alright, let's go check out the situation.
Yuan left the treasury shortly after. The moment Yuan exited the treasury, Jiao Zhenhai sensed it and immediately stopped everything he was doing to meet with Yuan.
Senior Envoy. Are you done with your seclusion?
Jiao Zhenhai asked him. Yuan nodded and said.
Yes.
He released some of his cultivation.
9th level Immortal Ascension? Did you really reach that level from the peak of Divine Emperor in just a month?
Jiao Zhenhai cried out loud, not daring to believe his eyes.
It's mostly thanks to the tier of the azure heavens. What? Tier of the azure heavens. What is he talking about, father?
Jiao Binglan inquired with a dazed look on her face. Jiao Zhenhai, who kept their deal a secret this entire time, finally explained the full situation to everyone there. 1969, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan's invasion.
What? You gave our family heirloom to him?
Binglan exclaimed with a horrified expression after hearing Jiao Zhenhai's explanation. It wasn't just Jiao Binglan. Jiao Xianbing and the others were also just as shocked. None of them could have expected Jiao Zhenhai would be willing to part with their family heirloom.
I understand your feelings, but what use is our family heirloom if our clan is destroyed in the process of trying to protect it? Moreover, we will receive the immortal monarch's blood. This is a blessing none of you can even begin to fathom.
Jiao Zhenhai said.
The immortal monarch's blood?
Binglan and the others turned to look at Yuan with suspicious gazes. Yuan smiled back and said,
Thank you for letting me consume the tier of the azure heavens. Here is the immortal monarch's blood, as promised.
Before coming out of the treasury, Yuan collected several drops of his blood and stored them in small glass vials. He retrieved a wooden box and handed it over to Jiao Zhenhai, who accepted it with trembling hands. Jiao Zhenhai wasted no time opening the box the moment it was in his grasp, and sure enough, there were 6 vials resting inside, just enough for him and his children.
The Mystic Sea Dragon clan will arrive in 2 weeks. We need to absorb this to strengthen ourselves before then.
Jiao Zhenhai handed a drop of the immortal monarch's blood to each of his children.
Thank you, Senior Envoy.
Jiao Xianbing bowed to him. Yuan shook his head and said,
No, you don't need to thank me. I didn't give it to you for free. It was an exchange.
Jiao Zhenhai and the others wasted no time and went to absorb the immortal monarch's blood. Meanwhile, Yuan asked around about the Mystic Sea Dragon clan.
Who are the Mystic Sea Dragon clan?
Yuan asked the first person he came across.
They've been longtime rivals of the Azure Dragon clan since ancient times, as both possess the power to command the waters. However, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan has been adapting more ice attribute techniques lately. The Azure Dragon clan and the Mystic Sea Dragon clan have clashed many times before, but never with stakes this high. Until now, their conflicts were little more than skirmishes. I see. What about the clan leader's wife? What about the rest of his family?
Yuan then asked about the Azure Dragon clan situation.
The mistress died trying to defeat the intruder who tried to take away our family heirloom many thousands of years ago. As for the others, while they're not dead, they all left the Azure Dragon clan long ago to look for a cure for the curse. However, the clan leader should have already notified them of the situation, so they should be heading back here as we speak. I see.
Yuan mumbled. Hearing that the Mystic Sea Dragon clan has been learning ice attribute techniques made it very clear why they wanted the tier of the Azure Heavens, the heaven-chilling Ice Phoenix's heart. Unfortunately for them, Yuan had already absorbed the treasure for himself, so they were waging a pointless war against the Azure Dragon clan. This made Yuan wonder if the Mystic Sea Dragon clan would back out once they learn about it. A week later, Zhao Zhenhai and the others emerged from seclusion, having fully absorbed the immortal monarch's blood. The first thing they did was test their bloodlines, and, as expected, not only had their bloodline's purity been restored, it had even surpassed its former peak, and everyone except Xianbing still had poison in their body. As for Xianbing, who wasn't affected by the poison, his bloodline had become the purest and most powerful in the clan's history, by a wide margin. Seeing Xuanbing's results gave immense hope and joy to the others, who were eager to have their poison cleansed by Yuan.
Senior Envoy. Please take care of us after we deal with the Mystic Sea Dragon clan.
A young man approached Yuan and bowed to him. Yuan silently nodded.
To be honest, I was skeptical about the immortal monarch's blood being real until I absorbed it.
Zhao Zhenhai admitted with a stiff smile on his face.
But now, I am really glad I accepted your offer. Pleasure doing business with you.
Yuan smiled. The following day, something else happened that greatly boosted the Azure Dragon clan's spirit and morale. Reinforcement had arrived.
Father, grandfather and grandmother have returned.
Zhao Binglan exclaimed as she hurried to his side.
Truly?
Zhao Zhenhai gasped. Before he could take a single step, two figures appeared before him. A middle-aged man and woman, both bearing the unmistakable traits of the Azure Dragon clan.
Father. Mother. You made it back in time.
Zhao Zhenhai hurried to greet them. Although their reinforcement was only two individuals, they were both powerhouses at the God Ascension realm, and Zhao Zhenhai's parents.
We rushed back immediately after receiving your emergency contact. What is the situation right now?
Asked the middle-aged man.
The Mystic Sea Dragon clan will arrive in less than a week,
said Zhao Zhenhai.
Allow me to keep you up to date for now.
Over the next several hours, Zhao Zhenhai recounted everything to his parents, from their fateful encounter with Yuan to how he had resolved their crisis. He made no attempt to conceal the fact that he had traded away their family heirloom in exchange for Yuan's help and the immortal monarch's blood. By the time he finished, both of his parents were trembling, not from rage at the Mystic Sea Dragon clan, nor from the loss of the heirloom, but for an entirely different reason.
You little brat. How dare you only ask for enough immortal monarch's blood for your children and yourself? What about us, your own parents? Have you already forgotten about us in such a short time?
His father stood up and roared angrily. His mother expressed similar complaints. In other words, they were angry about being left out of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. 1970, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan's invasion, too. When Zhao Zhenhai felt his parents' pressure bearing down on him, he quickly said,
Wait. He was the one who initiated the offer. 6 drops of the immortal monarch's blood are already a lot. If I asked for more, he would have likely refused.
His parents sat back down and withdrew their pressure after hearing this.
Do you think he'll be willing to give 2 more drops of the immortal monarch's blood, if he even has them, that is? Why are you asking me? You should ask him instead.
Zhao Zhenhai shrugged. His parents immediately stood back up and began beating him. Sometime later, Zhao Zhenhai brought his parents to Yuan.
Senior Envoy, do you have some time? My parents would like to speak with you. Your parents?
Yuan raised an eyebrow as his gaze met the two individuals standing behind Zhao Zhenhai.
My name is Jiao Longfei, his father.
Jiao Longfei said as he grabbed Zhao Zhenhai's clothes and yanked him far away.
I'm Jiao Xuanji, his mother. If you don't mind, we'd like to have a brief conversation with you.
Yuan had already guessed their intentions and greeted them with a calm smile.
You're here to ask about the immortal monarch's blood, aren't you?
The couple was stunned by his directness, caught off guard, and left momentarily speechless.
While that is part of the conversation, we mainly wanted to thank you for helping our family.
Jiao Longfei responded in a stiff tone. Yuan then said,
Unfortunately, my transaction with the clan leader has already ended, and I am only helping the Azure Dragon clan because you have something that I need. That's...
Just as Jiao Xuanji opened her mouth, Yuan interrupted.
However, that doesn't mean I cannot make a new transaction with you too. If you want the immortal monarch's blood, I still have some left. Really? What do you want for them?
Jiao Xuanji exclaimed, her voice full of excitement.
No, we'll give you 2 treasures from our treasury for each drop.
Jiao Longfei said as he raised 2 fingers before him. Yuan responded by showing 3 fingers.
Make it 3 and you'll have a deal, so 6 treasures in total. Deal.
Although Jiao Xuanji hesitated for a split second, he quickly made up his mind and agreed to Yuan's offer.
Thank you. Here you go.
Yuan immediately retrieved 2 vials and handed each of them one.
Since the Mystic Sea Dragon clan will be invading soon, I'll give these to you ahead of time. You won't regret it.
The couple immediately left to absorb the blood. 3 days later, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan arrived earlier than expected, before Jiao Zhenhai's parents could finish absorbing the blood. However, since they have already started absorbing the blood, they couldn't be disturbed, so the Azure Dragon clan had to deal with the invasion without them for now. Meanwhile, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan came to a halt just outside the Azure Dragon clan's underwater city, their 50,000-strong army, standing tall, exuding unwavering confidence. Amidst the sea of soldiers, a lone figure with a familiar face stepped forward and spoke in a voice so powerful it echoed through the city, reaching even the depths of the Azure Dragon clan's living quarters.
Azure Dragon clan, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan will grant you 24 hours to hand over the tier of the Azure Heavens. If you do not meet our demand within the time limit, don't blame us for whatever happens afterward. That's the 3rd elder. So the rumors calling him a traitor were true.
The people of the Azure Dragon clan were greatly shocked to see the 3rd elder standing with the Mystic Sea Dragon clan. Jiao Zhenhai appeared before them and sneered coldly.
So you'll turn around and leave if we give you the tier of the Azure Heavens?
The 3rd elder laughed out loud before responding.
Of course not. If you hand over the treasure, the Mystic Sea Dragon clan will spare your lives. However, you'll have to come under our clan's name as servants. The Azure Dragon clan as servants? In your damn dreams.
Suddenly, Yuan appeared beside Jiao Zhenhai and scanned the place with a composed expression.
Where's the 1st elder? Did he still end up dying even after you saved him?
Yuan asked calmly. In the very next instant, a surge of overwhelming bloodlust swept through the area as a new figure suddenly appeared. Yuan shifted his attention to this newcomer, a handsome young man he didn't recognize. The handsome young man then roared.
I only lost that time because I had underestimated you and didn't use my full strength to avoid being exposed. It will not happen again. This time, I swear I will shred you to pieces. Oh. You managed to get a new body in such short time? I'm impressed.
Yuan said with a faint smile. Sure enough, the striking young man before him was none other than the 1st elder, who had transferred his soul into this new vessel after Yuan's poison had destroyed his original body. However, having transferred his soul to a new body in haste, the 1st elder suffered a severe backlash, and his cultivation plummeted by 2 full levels, diminishing him to a mere true immortal.
Whether the Azure Dragon clan hands over the treasure or not, you're dead meat, human.
Jiao Zhenhai then stepped forward and asked,
Where are the rest of the Mystic Sea Dragon clan? I highly doubt they'd entrust such a massive army to you and let you come here alone.
The 3rd elder smiled and said,
Wouldn't you like to know? Unfortunately, I cannot tell you.
Jiao Zhenhai and the others frowned, feeling uneasy about the whole situation. What if there are more of them than the 50,000 in front of us right now? They all considered this possibility. After a moment of silence, Jiao Zhenhai spoke.
Is that so? Well, I have some unfortunate news for you, too. The tear of the azure heavens you bastards so desperately want is no longer in our hands. We gave it away. You what?
The first elder and the third elder shouted simultaneously, their eyes growing as wide as saucers. Unlock privilege to continue playing.